Call of Duty points are now in Infinite Warfare. If you want the best way to get free Call of Duty points, click the link down in the description, install the app, and start getting yourself some free Call of Duty points today. Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin, and welcome back to another Call of Duty Infinite Warfare video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be going over the best rushing class setup in Infinite Warfare, and some tips on how to be a rusher and how to play basically if you're used to playing a rush playstyle in other sort of Call of Duty games, how that transitions into Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, as well as the best class setup for doing it. I'll be covering all that you need to know for rushing in this video right here, and let's get right into it. So today's like goal is going to be 2,000 likes. Of course, that's usually my like goal on these best class setup videos, and I really do appreciate some of these best classes get a lot of love, some of them don't get that much love, but hopefully you guys will like this one because I know a lot of you guys who watch my videos like to play that rushing playstyle. That's kind of the playstyle that I sort of play. I kind of play in a mixture of a bunch of different playstyles because I play for, you know, YouTube gameplays and with different classes and different guns all the time, because I have to show you guys the best stuff for, you know, give a bunch of tips on different guns and, you know, different classes and everything to do with this game. But rushing has definitely always been my best and my favorite playstyle. I love playing that fast pace, and Call of Duty is a really fast paced game. And even if you're playing slow, it's still fast paced, and especially when you're rushing, you need to know when to slow it down, but you also need to know when to abuse your rushing and your speed and take advantage. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So drop a like, be sure to subscribe, and let's talk about a few tips, or what rushing is first of all, a few tips on it, and then we'll get into the class up. So what rushing playstyle basically is, basically what that means in Call of Duty, what rushing is it means you're going to the enemies. Some people like to sit back on, for example, say you're playing domination. Some people like to sit back on B flag and wait for the enemies to come to them. That is more of a, you know, passive playstyle. That's what I would call it. Some people always confuse passive playstyles with camping playstyles. In my personal opinion, there's a bunch of different playstyles you can play. There's going to be rushing, which is like, you know, running at them. There's going to be just your normal sort of a mix and match. You move up strategically, and sometimes you sit back and wait for them. That's probably the best playstyle to play, is, you know, just a normal sort of a mixture of everything. Then there's going to be a passive playstyle, which basically means you're sitting a bit farther back, waiting for the enemies to come to you. It's basically the opposite of rushing. And there's going to be camping, which a lot of people always confuse what camping is in Call of Duty. They call anyone sitting back camping. To me, camping is someone who basically like sits in a corner or sits in the same spot for half the game. That is not a fun way to play, and that is, you know, what I would consider camping. Rushing is all about getting up into the enemy's face, but still being able to win the gunfights while moving at them and while continuously rushing into the enemy spawn. You always want to be moving if you're playing that rushing playstyle, and I'll give you guys the class setup for it, and then we'll talk a bit more about how I'm successful at rushing and more tips to rush. So let's put the class up on the screen right now. This class setup is going to be with the ERAD SMG. This SMG is really, really good. You basically have no problems with recoil, and it's a very fast-paced gun and very good for playing that more rushing playstyle. As far as attachments, I have two attachments on it. I have quick draw as well as the suppressor. Now, the reason I like the suppressor is basically because it keeps you off the map when you're up in their spawn. You kill one guy, and say, you know, when you're rushing, a lot of the time you're going to be behind 2 or 3 guys. When you kill one, some of the time they won't notice and they won't be able to turn around as fast because you do have that suppressor on it. However, if you guys aren't a fan of the suppressor, you can rock with the stock instead. I think stock is really good on SMGs in this game. And honestly, quick draw stock is really good for rushing as well. I just like to have a little bit of stealth on this class. I do not have ghost on it, but I like to have a little bit of that surprise or that stealth where it takes them that extra split second to react, because I'm going to be silenced in their spawn and they can't really locate me. And that's why I like to run the suppressor on this thing. As far as perks, my first perks are both going to be helping me with rushing. First one is going to be Blast Shield. This is because there's a lot of grenades in this game, and grenades blow up 4 times. People leave trip mines. People leave a bunch of bullshit down. And if you're going to be rushing, you need to be able to get around and move around the map without being worried about getting blown up by some dumb stuff. That's why I like to run Blast Shield. Dexterity, obviously, when you're rushing, you're going to run into more than one enemy a lot of the time. This is just 6v6 TDM that I was rushing in, and I'm running into, you know, enemies 2 at a time, 3 at a time sometimes. I think I even get a 4-man in this game, but it was with my kill streak. If you're playing free-for-all, you're only going to be running into one person at a time, so you don't really need dexterity. However, if you're playing 6v6 or even 9v9 in ground war, you definitely need to be able to reload fast, or faster at least, while playing a rushing playstyle. That's why I run that. As far as my second perk, this is where I get more into the rushing stuff. I run Momentum, which is essentially the main perk for rushers in this game. It allows you to run quicker over time. It's basically like lightweight, but it takes time to build up. How it builds up is basically just by sprinting on the ground. The longer your sprint goes uninterrupted, the faster you're going to be going, which works really well on this game. Obviously, you see me right here just waiting for a guy, and I was playing it sort of slow because I knew they were out here. And the reason why I wasn't rushing out there right then is because I had the warden up in the sky. I wanted to let the warden get kills, and that's why I wasn't really, rushing out there on the street. It wasn't full on rushing right there. Because, rushing is good moves, but it's not the best play 100% of the time, especially if you're one off a kill streak. You don't want to run into the enemies. We'll talk about that a bit more. Momentum is definitely the perk you need for rushers, 100%. The next perk is going to be Scavenger, and the reason why I run Scavenger is so I open up slots. I don't have to run Man-at-Arms. I open up slots to my combat rigs and my payloads and my traits, so I can combine that all for rushing. Of course, third perk is going to be Hardwired. That's also sort of an anti-BS perk. I have Hardwired and I have Blast Shield. If you wanted to throw on your third anti-BS perk, you could throw on Tack Resist in the second perk slot, but I really don't find that helps me that much. Tack Resist, I mean, it's good. We put it on the sniping class when I did the how to quickscope better, but Tack Resist honestly doesn't really help you that much unless the enemies are actually using those things. I think there's so many different tacticals and lethals in this game that honestly it's a bit overwhelming to, look at them all and stuff like that. And attack resist only helps you against a select few of them, and that's why I don't think it's that valuable of a perk. And that's obviously why I just run Hardwired and Blast Shield, and then the second perk slot I take more for gun-on-gun action. Now, as far as the combat rig, the main things about a Russian class setup is you want to have a good gun, which is SMG ERAD. You could use this class setup on any sort of SMG, but the ERAD I think is the best one other than the UMP, which is a classic one. And then, of course, as far as the combat rig payload, what I run on this one is you want to run the Synaptic every single time. Some people may see the FTL, which is sort of made for Russian as well, but it just doesn't have the abilities, the traits and the payloads just don't match the Synaptic. The Synaptic is a lot better in pretty much every single way. Now, as far as a payload, you have the Reaper, or you have the Equalizer pistol, or you have this one, which is the Rewind. That's basically what I choose. Or wasn't you don't have the Equalizer pistol? You have the Equalizer, whatever you call it, double shotguns, or it's not even shotguns, like double SMGs, sort of double scythe things. And then you have the Reaper, and then you also have this thing right here. I choose to run with the Rewind just because I think it's very good, and it allows you to sort of pull out when you get in trouble, which basically means if you're a rusher, you're playing that rushing playstyle. There's a few times in this gameplay you'll see me, I run around a corner and I'm still reloading, or there's an enemy camping right there and I'm screwed. I'm 100% screwed. But this Rewind charges up every 60 seconds, which is so damn overpowered. If you guys haven't seen my video on the charge up times, you definitely should watch that. That's basically why I chose to run this thing. It helps your gun, you charge up so fast. It's definitely one of the best ones in the game. But the most important thing is probably not in the payload, it's more in the traits. And as far as the traits, you can either run with the Combat Burst, which allows you to, every time you get a kill, you basically get sped up, which I do find that thing does help. But the thing about the Combat Burst is basically, it doesn't speed you up as much on the SMGs because you're already moving fast. I have a Momentum SMG. When I get a kill, I'm going to get a tiny speed burst, but it's not like I have an LMG or an assault rifle with no speed up perks already. And I find that when I use from my experience with Combat Burst, when I use it on an assault rifle, it feels like it speeds me up more than when I use it on an SMG. That could just be, a placebo effect. That might not be true, but that's just how I feel, and that's why I don't run that. I run the Propulsion. Now, Propulsion, a lot of people say, oh, it's not the same as Advanced Warfare movement, which it's not, because if I had Advanced Warfare movement in this game, or if everyone did, the thing would be so flippin' overpowered. But if you see Propulsion, it's every 4 seconds, I get to do a dash in any way I want, which is absolutely awesome, and it's just basically another way of speeding me up. It's sort of a mini Advanced Warfare movement system in this game, which basically gives you the advantage over everyone. Movement is so key in these futuristic Call of Duty games, these last few Call of Duty games. And a key to having that movement is having something that literally allows you to move faster than all the enemies. It literally gives me an ability other people can't do just because they didn't pick it. I can rewind and I can dash any sort of way. It basically makes me the ultimate rusher, this class setup, and 100% I recommend running that combat rig with those sort of payloads as well as the trait. Definitely Propulsion is super fun. The thing about it is I once played like 12 hours straight when the game first came out with this thing on, and I was literally dashing so much My thumb was literally hurt. I think I like even like damaged my controller. I was dashing so much, but it's absolutely awesome. And if any of you guys remember in Advanced Warfare, one of the coolest things about that game was how you could jump and you could just dash forward or dash to the side and outplay a lot of people with that. And while in this game you can only do the dash every 4 seconds, when Advanced Warfare you could probably do it every 2 seconds, it's still very, very helpful because enemies don't expect it. They don't expect me to take a random dash to the side. You know, the enemies really don't see that coming because most people probably don't even know it's in the game, to be honest, and that's what makes it such an advantage. When you're in a normal gunfight in the air, they're trying to lock their aim onto you, and then boom, you just dash forward 5 feet, you literally screw over the enemies, and there's nothing they can do about it. Definitely recommend that. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, I'd really appreciate if you guys could drop a like on this thing. That would be absolutely awesome. If we could go for 2,000 likes, I would really appreciate it. Like I said, going to be uploading more. It is the weekend, and the weekends are my favorite times, especially double XP weekends. My favorite times to play Call of Duty, my favorite times to make videos, and all that sort of stuff. I always pump out late night uploads on the weekends. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate all of your support. Subscribe for a cookie, and subscribe if you guys are new. And don't looky, and I'm out. Peace. See you guys next video.